$1 million gamble, a crew walking out mid-season, and equipment hiding secrets that could change everything Gold Rush season 16 episode 14 is about to blow your mind. And I've got all the exclusive details you need to see. What's up, Gold Hunters? If you thought this season couldn't get any crazier, think again. Episode 14, The Defectors, is dropping on February 20th. And the sneak peeks just revealed something massive. We're talking career-ending decisions, mystery discoveries hidden inside wash plants, and tension so high that experienced crews are walking off the job. This could be the turning point that defines who goes home with millions and who loses it all. In this breakdown, I'm diving deep into every jaw-dropping moment from the trailer. Rick's midnight run that could cost him everything. Tony's nightmare as his veteran crew abandons ship at the worst possible time. Parker's relentless push toward a record-breaking $35 million season. And the shocking discovery Monster Red has been hiding beneath her surface. Trust me, you do not want to miss what I found. So buckle up, hit that like button right now, and stick around until the very end, because I've got exclusive theories and predictions that'll have you counting down the days until this episode drops. Let's dig into this gold-filled drama. The central storyline of episode 14 revolves around a major crew defection. Tony beats experienced operators, the veteran workers who have been running his equipment and managing his operations are leaving his crew to join Parker Schimble's team. This is a significant development for several reasons. First, we're talking about experienced operators. These aren't rookies or seasonal workers. These are people who know Tony's equipment, understand his mining methodology, and have years of experience in the Yukon. Losing this level of expertise mid-season is catastrophic for any mining operation. Second, they're not just leaving, they're going to work for Parker Schnabel, who is essentially Tony's main competitor in the region. Parker and Tony have a complicated history. Parker learned a lot from Tony early in his mining career. But they've also been rivals, competing for ground equipment and supremacy in the Klondike. The timing of this defection couldn't be worse for Tony. We're well into the mining season, which means Tony has already committed significant resources, positioned his equipment, and planned his mining strategy based on having this experienced crew. Suddenly, losing them forces him to completely recalibrate his operations. According to the episode information, Tony is now left to rely on less experienced operators. This means he's working with people who may not fully understand the equipment, who haven't developed the instincts that come from years of mining, and who will inevitably make mistakes as they learn on the job. In gold mining, mistakes are expensive. An inexperienced operator might damage equipment, process ground inefficiently, or miss opportunities to maximize gold recovery. Every mistake costs time, and in the Yukon, time is the most valuable resource because the mining season is so short. Tony is now facing the possibility of falling significantly behind his season goals because his crew simply doesn't have the expertise to operate at the level he needs. Let's break down what this means specifically. For Tony Beats and his operation, Tony runs what he calls the Yukon's largest mining operation. He typically manages multiple wash plants, numerous pieces of heavy equipment, and several different mining sites simultaneously. This isn't a small-scale operation, it's an industrial-level enterprise that requires precise coordination and skilled operators at every level. When you lose experienced crew members, the immediate impact is operational efficiency. Tasks that experienced operators could complete quickly and correctly now take longer and have a higher error rate. Equipment that was being maintained and operated properly now faces increased risk of breakdowns because less experienced people are handling it. There's also the training burden. Tony now has to spend time training these less experienced operators while simultaneously trying to keep his operation running at full capacity. He can't shut down to focus on training. The season doesn't allow for that. So he's forced to train people on the fly, which means accepting a certain level of inefficiency and mistakes as part of the learning process. The financial implications are significant. Every day of reduced productivity costs Tony potential gold recovery. If his inexperienced crew is processing ground at 75% of the efficiency his veteran crew achieved, that's a 25% loss in potential revenue. Over the course of weeks or months, that adds up to hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost opportunity. Beyond the operational challenges, there's also the morale factor. Tony's remaining crew members are now being asked to work harder to compensate for the loss of experienced operators. They're picking up slack, dealing with mistakes from the new people, and probably feeling frustrated that the defection happened in the first place. Tony himself is known for being demanding and having high standards. His frustration with the situation is going to be intense. We can expect to see him pushing his crew hard, expressing anger in confessional interviews, and potentially making tough decisions about how to handle this crisis. The question becomes, can Tony adapt quickly enough? Can he turn these inexperienced operators into a functional crew before the season runs out? Tony has decades of experience and has survived countless setbacks. But this is testing him in a very specific way. He's being forced to rebuild his crew's capability mid-season while the clock is ticking. Now let's look at the other side of this equation, Parker Schnabel, and what he's gained from these defections. On the surface, Parker appears to be in a strong position. He's acquired experienced operators who know their way around heavy mining equipment, who understand the challenges of Yukon mining, and who can contribute immediately to his operation. These aren't people he has to train from scratch. They can hit the ground running. This is particularly important because Parker is chasing a $35 million season goal, which is the most ambitious target we've ever seen him set. To reach that goal, he needs every advantage he can get. More experienced operators means more efficiency, better equipment utilization, and potentially higher gold recovery. However, the episode information tells us that Parker's new hires are creating animosity within his existing team. This is a critical detail that complicates Parker's situation significantly. Imagine you're a member of Parker's existing crew. You've been working for him all season, putting in long hours, dealing with his intense management style, and doing everything you can to help him reach his goals. Suddenly, new workers show up, people who used to work for Tony Beats, and they're immediately integrated into the operation. This creates several problems. First, there's the question of hierarchy and respect. Parker's existing crew members might feel that these newcomers are being given too much responsibility too quickly. They might resent that Parker is trusting these defectors with important tasks instead of relying on the people who have been loyal to him all along. Second, there's the issue of team dynamics. Mining crews develop chemistry over time. They learn how to communicate with each other, anticipate each other's needs, and work together efficiently. Introducing new people disrupts that chemistry. The existing crew has to adjust to new personalities, new working styles, and new voices in the decision-making process. Third, there may be questions about why these people left Tony's crew. Are they problematic workers? Did they have conflicts with Tony that might repeat with Parker? Are they going to be loyal to Parker? Or are they just looking for better pay and might leave again if a better opportunity comes along? The episode synopsis specifically mentions that Parker's team is opening a new cut while dealing with this crew tension. Opening a new cut is a major operation that requires careful planning, coordination, and execution. Doing this while managing internal crew animosity adds a significant layer of complexity. Parker's management style is direct and results-oriented. He doesn't typically spend a lot of time on interpersonal dynamics. He expects people to do their jobs professionally, regardless of personal feelings. But if the animosity gets bad enough that it starts affecting productivity, Parker is going to have to address it. That means having difficult conversations, potentially taking sides. and making decisions about who stays and who goes. Let's talk about the new cut that Parker's team is opening. Because this is a crucial element of episode 14, a new cut represents new ground that hasn't been mined yet. In gold mining, opening a new cut is exciting because it's an opportunity to hit rich pay dirt that could significantly boost your season totals. However, it's also risky because you don't know exactly what you're going to find until you start processing the ground. Opening a new cut requires substantial preparation. You need to strip the overburden, the non-gold bearing material, on top of the pay dirt. You need to position wash plants and other equipment. You need to establish efficient workflows for moving material from the cut to the processing equipment. All of this takes time, coordination, and experienced personnel. This crew defection storyline has implications that extend well beyond episode 14. Let's consider how this affects the remainder of season 16. For Tony, this is potentially a defining moment. If he can successfully train his less experienced operators and get his operation back to full efficiency, it becomes a comeback story. Tony proving that he can overcome adversity and still compete at the highest level would reinforce his reputation as one of the most resilient miners in the Klondike. However, if Tony struggles to recover from this setback, it could mark a turning point in his mining career. We've seen Tony face equipment failures, financial challenges, and operational setbacks before, but losing experienced crew members is a different kind of problem. It directly undermines the foundation of his operation in a way that's harder to fix quickly. For Parker, successfully integrating these new crew members while opening a new cut would be a major achievement. It would demonstrate his ability to manage complex operational challenges while maintaining focus on his ambitious season goals. If he can navigate the crew tensions and turn the defected operators into productive team members, it strengthens his position as one of the most capable miners on the show. On the other hand, if the crew animosity causes significant problems, or if the new hires don't work out, Parker will have created unnecessary drama for himself. He'll have damaged his relationship with Tony, disrupted his existing crew dynamics, and potentially set back his progress toward that $35 million goal. There's also the question of how this affects the relationship between Tony and Parker moving forward. Mining communities are small, and the Klondike mining community is particularly tight-knit. Poaching crew members, even if it's technically legal and just business, creates bad blood. We might see this tension play out in future episodes, either through direct confrontations or through indirect competitive dynamics. Additionally, other miners in the region, including Rick Ness, will be watching this situation closely. If experienced operators are willing to leave Tony for better opportunities, that sends a signal to the broader mining workforce. It might encourage other crew members to consider their options, potentially creating more instability across multiple operations. The remainder of season 16 will likely show us whether this crew defection was a temporary disruption that both miners recovered from, or whether it fundamentally altered the competitive dynamics of the season. Tony Beats faces a major crisis as his experienced crew defects to Parker Schnabel's operation, forcing him to rely on less experienced operators. This creates operational challenges, training burdens, and potential financial losses as Tony struggles to maintain efficiency with a diminished crew. Parker Schnabel gains experienced operators but must manage crew animosity as his existing team resents the new hires. He's simultaneously opening a new cut, which adds operational complexity to an already tense situation. Both miners are being tested in different ways. Tony's resilience and ability to adapt are being challenged. Parker's management skills and ability to maintain crew cohesion under pressure are being evaluated. Episode 14 airs February 20th, 2026 on Discovery Channel. This is one of the most significant crew dynamic storylines we've seen on Gold Rush, and it will have lasting implications for the remainder of Season 16. That concludes this breakdown of Gold. Rush Season 16 Episode 14. Thank you for watching.